Hello everybody. In this lecture I will be discussing with you about two-port representation of a transistor. Uh, now a transistor is used to amplify alternating currents or voltages, that means the signals you have seen, while suitable DC operating currents and voltages, that means with their quiescent values, are established before that. So now the signal generally of small amplitude, because now you know what is small signal amplitude, and that signal with small amplitude is applied to the input pair of terminals of any transistor, which is called input port, and the amplified signal is taken out of a pair of terminals which is called output port of the transistor amplifier. So when the amplitude of the signal is small, the operation of the transistor is confined to the linear portion of the characteristic curve of the transistor. I have told you this point earlier in one of my previous lectures, that the advantage of using small signal for analysis purpose of transistor amplifier is, one of the advantage is the operation of the transistor can be made confined to the linear portion of the characteristic curve, and for linear VI characteristic consideration, it will help us for proper analytical method of analysis. So it will be advantageous because of that. So in this case, the performance of the amplifier is obtained analytically by considering the linear portion of that characteristic curves could be made possible because of that small signal behavior of the input signal, and it is done by considering the transistor in any one of its three configurations, that is CE, CB or CC, as a black box with a pair of input and output terminals. So let us see how the diagram will look like when you will draw the transistor in a two-port representation. So let us draw the transistor as a black box. Now what is black box? Black box means it is anything, it is an enclosed box or enclosed area, enclosed space, which may be having anything inside it, and when we apply anything at its input side, we should expect something out of it. So the black means it is a mystery, that means we don't know what is inside, and that is the meaning of a black. So it is a box, we don't have the clear idea what is there inside it, so it is a mystery to us. That means we are considering it as a black box. So black means mystery. So if the transistor, at the beginning we don't know anything about transistor, we are just considering it as a black box for the representation of this transistor in two-port form. So this black box will be having three terminals, because we have considered it as a transistor, and hence we have this is a transistor as represented by black box, and this is a common terminal. Generally we consider this terminal as a ground. This will be eventually used as a ground, this common path, and this black box is having three different terminals. One is this one, another is this one, another is this one, and between these two terminals, that is one side, one hand or one arm of the common terminal and one of arm of the black box, between these two terminals, so this is suppose written as terminal 1 and this is 1 dashed. Similarly, the other arm of the ground or the common terminal is termed as 2 dashed, and the other terminal, opposite terminal but an arm of the black box, is written as 2. So the 1 dash, these two terminals will constitute a port. This will be called as a port. That means a port will be consisting of two terminals. So this will be a port and this will be another port. So this representation will be giving you two ports. So this side, generally the left side is marked by input port and the right side is marked by output port. So 1 dash is the input port and 2 dash is the output port. So now the terminal behavior of such a 2-port device, so hence the black box or the transistor can be called a 2-port device. So the terminal behavior, that means you know what is terminal now. So these two are ports, and 1 dash, 2 dash, these are called terminals. So the what is happening at the terminals, that is called the terminal behavior of such a 2-port device, is generally specified by 4 variables: 2 signal currents I1 and I2 and 2 signal voltages V1 and V2. So let us first specify the 4 variables here. For explaining this representation mathematically, we need some variables, and those are I1, I2, that is signal currents, and V1, V2, those are signal voltages. So these 4 variables will be specifying the terminal behavior of this black box or 2-port network. So now by taking any two of these variables, I once again repeat, as independent and the remaining 2 as dependent variables, it is possible to derive several pairs of equations. So what we should do, for mathematical analysis we should be writing some equations, and we need pair of equations at least for proper mathematical analysis or proper analytical approach of mathematics for this 2-port representation. And for writing the equations we need these variables, which are already been specified as I1, I2 and V1, V2. So here let us mark all these variables in the diagram. In the left side this is I1, and in the right side this is I2. You can easily understand that I1 and I2 is the incoming currents flowing from the input and output ports, that is 1 dash and 2 dash ports respectively, towards the black box or towards the transistor. And the voltage measured at the input port is V1 and voltage measured at the output port is V2. So this is how we can map these 4 variables in this diagram or in this representation. Now once this is done, so we can now write a pair of equation using all these 4 variables. So now to write the pair of equations, we have to consider 2 variables out of these 4 as dependent variables and other 2 as independent variables. So there we can apply some permutations and combinations among these 4 variables, with which we can choose any 2 of them as dependent and other 2 will obviously be independent. And considering that, we can write the pair of equations for this 2-port representation. So all of these pairs then could be able to describe the terminal behavior of the 2-port network. That means all of those pair of equations. However, for transistors it is preferable to take the input signal current I1 and the output signal voltage V2 as the independent variables. So what I have told, I once again repeat, it is preferable for transistors to take the I1 and V2, that means input signal current and output signal voltage. That means this one and this one should be considered as independent variables. That means the dependent variables will be those which should be expressed in terms of independent variables, and thereby we can write the equations. So a equation mean what is expressed in terms of the other is called the dependent variable, and the in term variable will be called the independent variable. So let us see, let us check now how these equations can be formed considering the independent and dependent variable criteria or idea. So if these two are considered as I1 and V2 are the independent variables, I1 and V2 are the independent variables, then the input signal voltage V1 and the output signal current I2 as the dependent variables. So I2 and V1 will be the dependent variables. Now the dependent variables will then be expressed in terms of independent variables. So we can write these two equations like V1 is equal to, why V1? V1 is my dependent variable, so we should be expressing the dependent variable, and in terms of what it should be expressed, that is independent variable. So V1 should be written in terms of I1 and V2, then I2 should be written in terms of I1 and V2. So two equations will be, one having V1 equal to and another will be having I2 equal to. So what we can write, V1 equal to H11 I1 plus H12 V2, and I2 equal to, we can write H21 I1, once again I2 in terms of I1 and V2. So H21 I1 plus H22 V2. So this is one equation, this is another equation. So this is a pair of equation or a set of equation which is depicting the representation of this transistor in the form of a black box as a two-port form. So here you can say, you can write these are the algebraic expressions or algebraic equations. Algebraic equations. From here we can write, we are observing that some new things, or rather we can say some new parameters have been evolved, and those are H11, H12, H21 and H22, and they can be written in a matrix form of 2 by 2 square matrix with 2 rows and 2 columns. So this is the matrix form of these parameters. So these parameters will be the element of this matrix which can be formed with the help of this algebraic equation. So this is the matrix form of the newly used parameters which are called H parameters, and this is its matrix form. So H parameters is given by these elements. So we can say, we can write here this equation in a proper matrix form, that is V1 I2 inside a column matrix that is given by H11, H12, H21, H22 and this should be multiplied by I1 V2. So these algebraic equations can be put into the matrix form. So this is the matrix form of representation of the above two algebraic equations. So let us check. The V1 is equal to H11 into I1 plus H12 into V2. This is the first equation, and then I2 equal to H21 I1 plus H22 V2. This is the second equation. So these two forms are equivalent. So this is called the matrix form, and this is the equivalent. This is the algebraic form, and this is the equivalent matrix form of these equations. So from here we are floating you with a new concept of H parameters, and these H parameters are essentially very important to study the analysis of transistor amplifier. So let us, using those equations, let us define the parameters. H11, what is H11? To find H11, let us write the equations once again here. V1 equal to H11 I1 plus H12 V2, and I2 equal to H21 I1 plus H22 V2. So from here, to find H11 from the first equation, what we need, we should be putting V2 equal to 0, then this term will be vanished. And how much will be H11? V1 by I1. So V1 by I1 when V2 equal to 0. So this is the definition of H11. So what is then H11? V by I means it is impedance, and when it is V1 it is input voltage, input port voltage, and I1 is input port current. That means it is the input impedance. So what is this? This is input impedance because it is the ratio of V and I at the both at the input port voltage and input port current. So this is representing input impedance when the output is short circuited to AC. Short circuited. When the output is short circuited to AC signal, that means we are just making the output port shorted, and once a port is shorted we can write its corresponding voltage V2 as 0. Okay, now let us find H12. What is H12? How to find? When I1 is 0, that means H12 should be V1 by V2. Similarly, when I1 equal to 0, now what is V1? Input voltage. What is input port voltage or port 1 voltage? And it is port 2 voltage. So port 1 voltage or the input port voltage divided by output port voltage. That means we can say it is input port voltage by output port voltage. This is called reverse voltage. Why reverse voltage? We generally, our direction of operation is from input to output, but here we are getting such a parameter where the direction of operation is from output to input. We are something given at the output as V2 and we are getting something at the output as V1. That means it is in the reverse direction of normal convention. That's why it is reverse voltage ratio. It should be called reverse voltage ratio, or in a better way it can be called reverse voltage amplification factor or ratio. Alternately we can say. Why it is amplification? Because it is the ratio of two voltages. So when it is ratio of two voltages, there will be no unit. So a voltage ratio means it seems that we are giving a voltage as V2 and we are getting a voltage as V1. So that means we are applying some voltage with V2, and because of H12 we are getting it in amplified form as V1. So it is something like amplification of voltage, this representation of H12, and that amplification is happening in the reverse direction against the normal opposite to the normal direction. So that's why it is called reverse voltage amplification factor or ratio, and it is happening when I1 equal to 0. What is I1? It is the input port current, and when I1 can be 0 if the input port is open circuited. So it happens when the input is open circuited to AC is open circuited to AC. Why repeatedly we are writing to AC like this? Because this analysis will be done for small signal AC signal operation, at the small AC signal applied at the input of the transistor amplifier, and only in that case all this analysis will be done. So that's why this 2AC term is repeatedly written. Now let us find H21 and H22. Similarly, H21 we can write it as I2 by I1 when V2 equal to 0. So this is ratio of the currents. That means this should be, if this is voltage amplification, this should be current amplification. So this can be written as current gain amplification. Alternately can be called it as a new term, gain. So this is current gain. We are providing current I1 at the input, we are getting current I2 from the output. So this is gain of the current. So this ratio will mean current gain when V2 equal to 0. V2 equal to 0 means when output port is short circuited to AC. The same thing when the output is means the output port is short circuited to AC. Okay, and the last one, H22, that is when H22 is there, here, so you will find H22 I1 equal to 0, so it should be I2 by V2 when I1 equal to 0, and I by V means it is reciprocal of impedance, and you know what is reciprocal of impedance? It is given by admittance. It is termed as admittance. So since it is in the output port, because in general the port 2 is considered as output port and port 1 is considered as input port, so it is I2 by V2, output port current by output port voltage. So it is current by voltage, so it should be called output admittance. So this is nothing but output admittance when I1 equal to 0, means the input is open circuited to AC. Output admittance when input is open circuited to AC. Okay, so these are the definitions of the 4 parameters which are called H parameters used for the transistor analysis of transistor amplifiers. Now here you can once again have a close look that H11 has a dimension of impedance, because H11 is nothing but an impedance, so the unit of H11 is ohm. Units of H parameters. What are the units? H11, it has unit ohms. H22 is having unit as mho. This is mho, the unit of admittance. H12 and H21 are ratios, so they are dimensionless, no unit, dimensionless, no units. Okay, so these 4 are of different dimensions and they are termed as H or hybrid parameters. H or hybrid. Now here we have come across a new term, hybrid. H stands for hybrid. Now let us see why this H parameters are called hybrid parameters. For that, let us once again look at these 2 equations. Now you can see that as we have chosen the independent and dependent variables, out of that one voltage variable and one current variable is chosen as dependent variable, that is V1 and I2, and one voltage variable and one current variable is chosen as independent variable, that is V2 and I1. If we had chosen 2 voltages as independent and 2 currents as dependent, or 2 currents as independent or 2 voltages as dependent variables, then it should have been called normal parameters. Since the choice of independent and dependent variables have been based on mixing up the voltage and currents in a group, that means for choosing the dependent variables, one voltage and one current parameter is chosen or variable is chosen, and for choosing the independent variables, one current and one voltage is chosen. That means we have been made our choice as per mixing one voltage variable and one current variable. So it is mix up of voltage and current both inside the bracket. So we haven't chosen the variables like 2 voltages in a bracket or 2 currents in a bracket. So since we have mixed up in our choice one voltage and one current, that's why it is being called as hybrid. Hybrid means it is mixed up. 2 different quantities when considered in a mixed up process that should be called hybrid. So since here one voltage and one current out of the four variables is chosen as dependent and independent variable pairs, so that's why, since because of mixing of voltage and current in a bracket, so that's why, or in a group, that's why it is called hybrid parameters. Now by taking two voltages as dependent variables and expressing them, had we chosen two voltages as dependent variables and expressing them in terms of two currents, it could be possible to write a pair of equation, and that then those parameters should have been called impedance or Z parameters, This is in addition to the things you should require here. Impedance or Z parameters, probably you will not be using that much for analog electronics, but it will be very much essential for your circuit theory course. So still I am once again expressing discussing along with the hybrid parameters a little bit about idea about this impedance and Z parameters, and also admittance or Y parameters. So these are not called hybrid parameters, they are in normal, not hybrid. Why? Because with the impedance of Z parameters or admittance of Y parameters, the equations, the defining equations for the two-port network would be straightforward, because there will be no mixing of voltage and current variables. For Z parameters, the dependent variables would be the voltages. For Z parameters, dependent variables would be V1 and V2, the voltages, and the independent variables are I1 and I2, the currents. So this is the Z parameter, and when we consider the opposite, that means dependent variables are I1 and I2 and independent variables are V1 and V2, that is my expression for admittance or Y parameters. So this admittance or Y parameters will just be the reciprocal of impedance or Z parameters, and the equations will be accordingly reversed. So we shall consider the transistor equivalent circuits in terms of H parameters only, because that will be far more useful for using in all analog electronic courses, and because they possess some advantages over and above the Z or Y parameter. Let us discuss some of the advantages. The H parameters are real numbers at audio frequencies. So one is H parameters advantages. So first advantage is, I am briefly discussing all those advantages, are real numbers at audio frequencies, real numbers at audio frequencies. So this is the first. The second one is, they can be easily determined, easy determination, as we have seen till now. What we have seen till now, it is very easy to determine this. Third is, they are particularly suitable for circuit analysis and design. So suitable for analysis and design purpose, analysis and design of circuits. Number 4, there is another advantage, which is their representation leads to simple algebraic expressions for the performance quantities. We will be later on deriving some performance quantities or performance factors of different two-port circuits, different analog circuits expressed in two-port form. Suppose mainly the transistor amplifier, and those performance parameters are input impedance, output impedance, voltage gain, current gain, and power gain. So for deriving all these performance factors, the H parameters representation or use of H parameters will lead to simple algebraic expressions. So to derive this, to find performance parameters, all these etc. will be easier, will be simple with the use of H parameters. Okay, and the last one is another advantage. A set of H parameters for transistor is generally specified by the different transistor manufacturers. So specification made easy by manufacturers, because if you in the market, if you manufacturers, if you specify with some different H parameter values for different design purpose to get the components, then it may be useful for searching all those things as in terms of their H parameter values in practical sense. So all these can be fruitful for using the H parameters for transistor amplifier analysis and design purpose. So one thing before I conclude this topic, that we have considered here low frequencies where the transistor internal capacitances are negligible, because you know the capacitances are frequency dependent element, and they are used at low frequencies as open circuits. And here, since we have considered all these things in considering low frequency signals, that means we have intentionally ignored the effect of transistor internal capacitances. So that's why this should be useful for low frequency analysis also. Now next we will be looking at the AC equivalent circuit using H parameters. So now in this topic we will be discussing about AC equivalent circuit using H parameters. The circuit I am going to draw will be based on the equations we have already written in just a little while earlier. V1 equal to H11 I1 plus H12 V2, and I2 is equal to H21 I1 plus H22 V2. So based on these equations, I am going to draw the circuit which can be useful for analysis purpose using the H parameters. How should be the AC equivalent circuit look like? Now it has been seen that Kirchhoff's voltage law or KVL, when applied to the input circuit, it can give the it can produce this equation. So accordingly we should draw the circuit, and using Kirchhoff's current law or KCL, that should be applied to the output circuit in such a way that from there we should get the second equation. So the circuit, the AC equivalent circuit will be drawn in such a way. This equation should be found by KVL at input circuit, and this equation can be found by using KCL at output circuit. So accordingly the circuit should be the hybrid equivalent circuit or the AC equivalent circuit of the given two-port network can be designed. So I am first drawing the circuit. This is a box. It is representing the impedance. Now what is H11? We have seen that it is input impedance. So at the left side there will be the input circuit. So first of all we need to draw in series a impedance of value H11. So this impedance will be indicating that this is representing the H11 parameter, which is nothing but the input impedance. Now what is H12? It is reverse amplification factor or ratio. That means it should be represented as a voltage source. So what is H12? H12 is V1 by V2. H12 is V1 by V2. So we should be writing here V1 is equal to H12 V2. So now in the circuit, this is I1, and what is V1? The voltage between the two terminals 1 dashed. So this voltage is V1. You have seen earlier. So now if this is the input impedance, this should be connected directly to a voltage source of value V1. So V1 is the value of suppose V1 is the voltage source. V1 can be represented as a voltage source, AC voltage source obviously, whose value is H12 V2. So we can write here H12 V2. So this voltage source will be giving a value H12 V2, which is nothing but V1, and that V1 is this one. So this V1 is represented as a voltage source across the input port between terminals 1 and 1 dashed. So this is the connection. So this is the representation of the input circuit. Now you can check if by applying KVL whether the first equation can be derived from this loop. If you apply KVL, you can find that V1, KVL means sum of all the potential drops will be equal to sum of the connected voltage sources. So if this is V1, so this V1 should be equal to the potential drop across this. This is how much? H11 into I1. That is the potential drop across this H11 impedance that is written here, and plus the voltage added to this potential drop, that is how much? H12 V2. H12 V2. So if these two are added, we should be getting V1. That means by applying KVL, we are at this input loop, we are getting the first equation. That means this first equation is represented pictorially as here, and this is the AC equivalent circuit of the first equation, we can say. Now let us see how the second equation can be similarly drawn as the output circuit by applying KCL. So from here, first we are getting H21 equal to I2 by I1. H21 is I2 by I1. So from here what we can write? I2 is equal to H21 I1. Now how I2 can be shown? It is incoming to the transistor from the output terminal or output port rather. Now this I2 is, the value of this I2 is H21 I1. That means I2 can be shown as a current source whose value is H21 I1. So that means it should be like this, and it is nothing but a current source, and we should be writing how much? H21 I1, and this H21 I1 will be equal to I2. So I2 is flowing through this. So rather writing this along this current source, the value of I2, we have written H21 I1 because they are equal. That means this I2 is having this I2 which is flowing through from this current source, whose its magnitude is H21 I1. Okay, and finally H22 V2. Then how much is H22? It is I2 by V2, and I2 by V2 means it is output admittance. You know the impedance is drawn in series, and the output and the admittance is drawn in shunt or parallel. That means it should be drawn between these two terminals across the port 2 like this. So this is the output admittance having value H22, and across this H22 how much the voltage is measured? V2, which is the output port voltage. So this should be the output loop or output circuit based on this equation. Now let us verify this equation using applying KCL at this port, at this output circuit. So how much this I2? This I2 will be the sum of the currents flowing through this branch and flowing through this branch. So what is the current flowing through this branch? It is H21I1. So I have written H21I1, and I2 is H21I1 plus another, it has another part which is flowing through this branch also. And how much that is? That is I2 is, from here you can get I2 is nothing but H22 V2. So we are adding, this is H21I1, and through this branch it is flowing H22 V2. So in this branch it is H21I1, and in this branch it is flowing H22 into V2, because V2 is parallel to this H22, so they should be multiplied, and these two branch currents should be added up by using KCL to get the I2. So that is here. Okay, so that means using KCL at the output circuit or the output loop, or output circuit rather, not loop, we are getting the second equation. That means the second equation is represented pictorially in like this as the output circuit. So we can say this is overall, in one go, this is the hybrid equivalent circuit, or for AC operations of the transistor amplifier, used as a two-port model of a transistor amplifier, hybrid equivalent circuit of not a transistor amplifier, of a two-port network for analysis of transistor amplifiers. Okay, so you can now, so here you can see the input and output circuits contain dependent voltage and current generators, H12 V2 and H21 I1 respectively. H12 V2 and H21 I1, these two are the this is dependent voltage generator, and this is called dependent current generator, because they are respectively the voltage and current ratios. And as the voltages and currents in this figure, in this diagram rather, are the signal or AC values, having AC values, this is alternately called AC equivalent circuit. So this heading is given accordingly. Now these notations H11, H12, H21, H22 are generalized notations. These are not used in the actual analysis purpose. For actual analysis purpose, these are written as this, or represented or denoted as this. H11 is denoted by HI, H12 as HR, H21 as HF, and H22 as HO, where I stands for input, R stands for reverse, F stands for forward, and O stands for output. So if I is input, that means H11, HI is nothing but, it is input resistance or impedance, alternately you can say. If you consider the AC analysis, it should be better termed as input impedance. Then R in HR is reverse voltage gain. HR means it is reverse voltage gain. F in HF means forward, it stands for forward current gain, forward current gain. And also O in HO means it stands for output conductance or admittance. Admittance can be alternately called conductance, which is reciprocal of impedance or resistance. Reciprocal of impedance is admittance, reciprocal of resistance is conductance. So whatever, for AC analysis it should be better termed as admittance. Now additionally, another subscript should be used with HI, HR, HF and HO. That subscript is based on the mode of operation of the transistor amplifier. If it is common emitter mode, for CE mode operation, another subscript is to be added with these H parameters. That is, for common emitter mode, it is written as HIE, HRE, HFE and HOE. Okay, so this is for common emitter mode. If it is CB mode, then this should be written as HIB, HRB, HFB and HOB. And for common collector mode or CC mode, they should be written as HIC, HRC, HFC and HOC. The second subscript stands for the particular mode. CE, we are taking the E from here and we are joining E with each and every subscript as the second subscript. Taking B from CB mode and taking C from CC mode and joining as second subscript with each and every H parameter correspondingly. So this is all about the AC equivalent. This is the way of writing. So from now onwards, we will, for CE mode of operation, in most of the cases, we would be specifying the H parameters as HIE, HRE, HFE and HOE. So this is all about the AC equivalent circuit using H parameters.